Welcome back to the Kind Athletic Podcast. This is episode 27. I'm Sam.
I'm Kellen.
And this week we have one of Kellen's friends, Curtis, is going to be joining us for the whole podcast. So, Curtis, introduce yourself to the podcast.
Yeah, Curtis. I've been friends with Kellen for a long time now, since middle school. Always talk sports.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him, honestly.
I would too. I've been like 2 years and I'm sweating it already. So,
Played lots of sports.
Yeah, how we met is a whole fun story for another time. But
we do not need to get into that.
yeah,
awesome.
We can maybe one day we can talk about that, but that is brutal.
Well, I'm excited. I think it'll be fun to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, have a third voice would be nice.
This week we'll talk a little bit about football. So we're going to start with the college football and the Cougars, a little bit of Huskies since they didn't play, but we'll kind of touch on them a little bit. Going to the Seahawks, they actually did win, surprisingly, but they beat the Falcons.
That's a very
Wasn't expecting that. Next, then we'll actually do a top 10 list of current quarterbacks. So right now, who would you take?
Who do you want? Yeah.
Not like in the season, but currently right now for the rest of the year. And then we will talk about NASCAR. Also going to talk about the postseason with Nick. We're going to go into college football, like I said, and starting with the Cougars, since they actually did play. They beat Hawaii 42-10. Pretty convincing victory. But Kellen, what do you kind of see from that game?
I mean, it felt like who we are. Like, again, for the first time in a while. Mateer was back to kind of doing what he did. I think
5 total TDs.
Yeah, and I think that those kind of 2 games that we had, obviously, like the Boise State game was rough. San Jose State, I think, was just like a long day. Fresno State was off a bye. They were off a bye, so I think both teams had a lot of time to look at film. This game, I don't know. Obviously, Hawaii has to travel. I mean, I knew they said they flew into Spokane, drove down to Lewiston, which is about another hour, which is about 40 minutes outside of Pullman. It's not like right across the street, which is kind of weird. Like, you'd think that they would stay in Moscow, which is 2 minutes down the road. They just looked a lot better. The Cougs looked like they were all together. They were ready to go. They just looked good. Their running game is still not what I love. Offensive line still needs a lot of work. The missed tackling was bad in the first half, better in the second half. But I felt like we were in control
was
this whole game.
Solid, though.
They were better. They definitely, there wasn't as many, first, like when I told you, when you, had those first contacts, and then the other team was able to get 10 yards. And I felt like Fresno State, obviously Boise State killed us at that. San Jose State killed us at that. This game just felt a lot more like together we were there. The team looked fine. The offense looked really good besides the running game. Again, I feel like 123 yards, we got to be a little bit more than that, especially against a Hawaii team. But I'm very happy with it. We're 6-1. My opinion, we should be ranked at least 25. I think 24 is the highest we should be. But when you look at the rankings, to me, I know Vanderbilt just beat Alabama, but I don't really care. And then Navy and Army, it's fun because that's so historic and stuff. But those teams, I don't think they should be there, in my opinion. I think we've beaten 2 good teams. Obviously, we beat the UW, which we'll talk about in a second. But then people forget Texas Tech is 5-1, maybe 6-1. I don't know if they're 6-1 after this weekend, but we're their only loss as of right now, as I know. Again, I don't know if they played this weekend, but we felt good. We're bowl eligible now, which is exciting. We'll see how we can finish it out.
3-1, 5-2,
5-2. So they did lose another game, but still, that's still a good. That's a solid team in the Big 12. It's a Big 12 team, so I was excited about it. Homecoming weekend. I know a lot of people. My sister went there. She went to U of H, so I got to text her a bunch of mean things.
Got to watch them get destroyed.
Yeah,
it's awesome. What'd you see, Curtis, from the Cougars game?
Overall, I thought it was a good game. Looking into Mateer, it's pretty exciting. He's only a redshirt sophomore, so
that's impressive.
We got a lot of football left in him, and he's pretty good in the college football rankings. I mean, 4th ranked quarterback in rushing, which is pretty big, and then 16th in passing yards, and then 16th in touchdowns. So
that's not bad. That's right in the mix. So
not bad.
And the scary thing when you hear those numbers, being a Wazoo fan,
transfer,
he gone. Which sucks because it's just that's the way we live. But I mean, who knows? I mean, he did get a big deal from not a big deal, but he's getting paid from the casino out in Spokane, the Northern Quest, which Curtis knows all too well about. Went to first bachelor party, But yeah, so I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to keep him. I hope they do. I hope Dickert stay. I don't think Dickert will leave, but I think that they will stay and ride it out. But
I think this game too is huge for Mateer specifically because the last 2 games people were like, should we bench him? What's going on?
That was a crazy statement.
I wasn't there. I was like, I don't think it's quite yet. But
how do you bench someone who were 4-1 or 5-1?
Well, he just showed what he's good at. I mean, 5 total touchdowns. He didn't have a ton of rushing yards, but still 2 rushing touchdowns. That's impressive. It's just getting the job done in the red zone, and then still three passing touchdowns. That's nothing to scoff at by any means. So he just proved that he's still there. He's still a solid quarterback, and he's one of the top dual threat quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah,
so maybe not the best, but he's still up there.
I think there's a couple like Cam Ward, and I think there's a couple other guys that are maybe a little bit more.
I mean, for that talent to be in Wazoo is kind of impressive, honestly.
100%. Especially being at Wazoo.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah,
in
and we've seen him have. I mean, I know Cam Ward was obviously a massive transfer when he came in. Like he was a top. I think he was the top quarterback transfer when he came to Pullman from Incarnate Word. I think
we talked about the. I can't. It was something like that.
And I think that just continues to show you like the progression that the Cougs have had. Like obviously, like Minshew was probably one of the big leaders that kind of changed that for us, but. We've done really well with it. And again, I still look at the rest of our schedule. San Diego State, not scared of. Utah State, not scared of. New Mexico, not scared of. Oregon State in Corvallis is going to be a good game, I think, no matter what, because it's going to be kind of that rivalry that we have now. And then at Wyoming, who I don't think Wyoming knows how to play football anymore. They're so bad.
Yeah.
I genuinely think we could run the table. I don't think that gets us into the top 12. Again, like I've said this whole podcast with Sam, I don't want to be in the top 12. I would love to be at a bowl game.
You're there,
we can win. We're at a bowl game, and I'd love to make the Alamo Bowl, and I would love to go play someone
you
that
don't want to get embarrassed on the national stage.
Well, I don't really, the UW's done that for us in the Pac-12, so that's fine. But I would rather go and play like just a team I feel like we could beat, like even like an Oklahoma. Like Oklahoma's struggling this year, and I think we could give a big upset against, and that would be more fun to me than watching us go. Like you said, we'd play. As of right now, if we're the 12 seed, we play Texas. no thanks.
That would be a rough game to watch.
But so I was impressed this weekend. It was very nice to see them.
I think they could go 11-1. Honestly,
I
if
think
they didn't lose to Boise, I could have seen them going undefeated.
Yeah, honestly, the Boise State loss is not that bad.
No,
the better they play, it's like I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying about the Texas Tech one as well. Like Texas Tech has 2 losses.
Yeah,
and that's a Big 12 school. Like that's a solid program. And yes, like we beat the UW, which I mean I think is a lot more emotional than it is. Whatever statistical.
Well, if you beat them last year, that'd be freaking huge.
Yeah, we beat them last year. We beat Monster. We almost did. But I think that game had a lot more emotion side to it than it did. Like what's actually going to help you at the AP poll. But again, it's a Big 10 school, and we are not. We're obviously not supposed to be able to beat these teams, and we've beaten both of our hardest. Both of 2 of our hardest opponents or whatever, compared to Boise State. Obviously, but you said Boise State's what? They're like 15 now.
They're up there, 15 or 16.
They're a good.
Still,
that's like we should lose to them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a pretty score like we've had the argument. I don't think it was a pretty score, but I don't think the score told you what the game really was.
Their running back might win the Heisman, honestly.
He should. I really hope he does.
They were
like 100, 200 yards, and he would only play the first half.
There was a statistic that was like the past 4 or 5 running backs that have won it, like Reggie Bush, et cetera, through
Barry
their
Sanders,
first like 6 games, they were at like 700 yards was like the tops. He's already at like 1,200. He's literally going to break. I don't know what the record is, but I could imagine he's got to be close to breaking.
He has to be.
It's got to be closer to like 3,000. Boise State, I can only imagine not playing anyone that's super scary for the rest of the year. But I can imagine that you would think that they're going to
2,600. It was Barry Sanders.
And he's
26-28.
He's probably
at 1,400.
Well, I can tell you this game. They play UNLV, win, San Diego State, win, Nevada, win, San Jose. I mean, besides the Oregon State game at the very end of the year, because I think they have bigger bodies, they're just a bigger team. But I don't think there's anything to worry about in that aspect. But that team they're unreal. He's unbelievable. Yeah,
going to the other Northwest team in the Huskies. They're going against a very, very good team in Indiana.
Indiana is
just not going to be a good game.
Rolling. Yeah. Just to give you what Astron Jetchi, he has 1,248 right now.
They have a 16% chance to win.
They should have a negative 16% chance to win. It's
not going to be good. They're 7-0. They're ranked number 13. UW just got absolutely destroyed by Iowa. They have
that wasn't even a good
nothing really good to come off with.
And they're going to Indiana again. So that means
so much
recording
travel.
This on Monday. They're leaving at the latest tomorrow to get to Atlanta, to Indiana. I don't know I don't know where in Indiana it is, but I can imagine that a lot of these schools, kind of like Pullman, they're in the middle of nowhere. They're not in Indianapolis. They're going to be outside. So you got to fly in Indianapolis. You got to take an hour bus ride or whatever it is, or you got to fly.
Good times.
It's a crazy thing. I don't think. I was telling Sam this before.
I'm sure they're going to make sure they're caught up all in their schoolwork.
Oh yeah, sure, totally.
They're going to be doing really good on that.
I mean, this is an interesting one for Indiana too, though. They've just played Nebraska.
Yeah,
Nebraska people touted them to be very, very good, but now again they're Nebraska. Like they're kind of like the Mariners, where they just cave at every moment.
Yeah,
but this is a good game for them, for Indiana. This is I feel like UW is They're good enough to win this game. I don't think they will.
No.
But they have the talent to do it.
Well, Will Rogers is a good quarterback.
100%.
Their running back, Coleman's
been fine. He's been up and down. Wide receivers have been okay. Again, it's a rebuild mode.
Yeah.
But this team is totally good enough to upset. Like, the UW could upset and win out. And I wouldn't be like, I'd be shocked, but I'd be like, they do have the talent for this.
Yeah.
But I just think this is a good test for Indiana. They haven't really played anyone. They played FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska. Northwestern's not very good in that division.
Did Northwestern beat UW though?
Yeah,
or
I know. No, the UW I think beat them.
Okay, yeah, no,
they lost to Rutgers. I'm pretty sure they beat Northwestern. They beat Northwestern 24-5. Lost to Rutgers. Beat Michigan. Lost to Ohio. But again, you look at the UW, and I'm like, they need 2 more wins. And again, I know what I'm wearing.
Yeah,
Indiana. That's a road game. USC coming to town. USC's unranked.
They could.
We all know USC is talent wise enough to be a top 12 school. They have not won the games they need to. Yeah. They're a top 10 school. Penn State at a whiteout. Good luck. That's enough said. UCLA at home, they should get. Again, it's a rivalry. They should get. And then at Oregon, they're losing by 4,000. So it doesn't matter. But you have to upset one of these games. And I don't know if they can do it.
I think they're I don't know. It's going to be an interesting end of the season, but
yeah, they have to get 2 more to be bowl eligible. Otherwise, I don't know if I need to look it up. I keep telling myself I'm going to. The
Pac-12
team. Well, I want to look at the Pac-12 record, but I want to look up if a team that has gone to the national championship has not gone to a bowl game the following season. Because Michigan's in this, I don't know what their schedule is, but Michigan's in the same
boat.
They got Michigan State, which is just a rivalry. They should win. Then Oregon comes to them, which sucks.
Nice.
Then they go to Indiana. Then they have Northwestern. And then, of course, Ohio State. So they should be able to get...
Northwestern's their only
and Michigan State
game.
Michigan State. They should be able to get Michigan State.
You never know, though. They always have really good games,
rivalry
I feel like, even with Michigan State. Even if it's not super
they're both
talented-wise, they always play well against each other.
I agree. So both of them, it'd be interesting to see like both of them actually not make a bowl game. Would be crazy.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's kind of all we had for college football in the Northwest this week.
Yeah, nothing really crazy. Well, Oregon won again comfortably, and then Boise State, I believe, won again comfortably, which are kind of the other teams. I mean, Oregon State. I don't know if Oregon State won actually.
I'm not sure.
Oregon should move to number 1.
They are number
ridiculous.
Yeah, they are number 1. Yeah, that is the change, I guess. Now is that Oregon is the number 1 program for sure.
Dude, they're so good.
Yeah,
right now. I don't know. It'll be so interesting to see once towards the end of the season if they continue to be this hot, but. They've had a very good start to the season. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to see how far they'll be able to ride. Oregon State, I just want to know what they did. They lost to UNLV.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on a 2-game losing streak.
UNLV is pretty good.
UNLV was really good, and then they lost their quarterback. Remember, did you hear about that? Where he didn't get promised his money?
NIL stuff.
What a guy.
Yeah, but the Beavers have a rough one, too. I mean, they go to California. California's been a good team. Cal's been a solid. Then San Jose State, which, of course, the Cougars know too well, was a wild one.
That was rough.
For no reason. Air Force, tough game. Wazoo at home, tough game. And then they go to Boise, which really sucks for them.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the Pacific Northwest now. But
thanks for listening to the Kinda Athletic podcast. Please like and subscribe to all our social media platforms and make sure to come back next week to hear more from the Kinda Athletic podcast.